There was a summit.
So part of WotC's kind of PR move this year, one of the things that they did was they organized what they called a Creator Summit. And so basically the rough numbers that I got was they invited approximately 40 influencers and creators within the D&D community, and then to come in person, and they paid for their flights out and a hotel and per diem, which is standard for this kind of a junket, out here to Washington State. And then they also invited another like 80 or 90 to attend a virtual version, right, where they would log in with Teams and they would be able to follow along and ask questions and chat and stuff like that. So a lot has come out about this already. It's been dominating my various social media feeds for a couple of days now. Yep. Shout out to the people who were live tweeting as they were going through the summit from Bellevue, and I was like, wow, like impressive. And I was following it all day Monday. So what do we know? The name 1D&D, let's start with that, is gone. It's done. It was an in-development name. 1D&D is the thing. So what they are calling this is basically revised 5th edition. They are not, and very, very distinctly, it is not 5.5.
Nope.
And it is not 6th edition. Nope. They're calling this revised 5th. So that's what this is going to be.
Advanced 5th?
No.
Revised.
Actually, there was a lot of people who brought that up because this feels like the AD&D days when they were basically kind of revising 2nd edition D&D and tightening it up. No, so this is revised 5th edition. The 3 core books will be re-released next year, right, in 2024. So you will get a new player's handbook, a new DMG, and a new monster manual. Okay, those are the 3 books that are being released. The new PHB is about 40 pages-ish longer than the current PHB, and will include a rules glossary in the end and things like that. They're also changing the layout. So as opposed to going character creation into how to play, they're going to go how to play first at the beginning of the book, and then roll into character creation closer to the middle.
Interesting. Probably going to be more helpful.
The DMG will now include more information about how to run a session, to include the use of safety tools.
Which is important.
Right, which is a new thing that D&D's adding.
It's especially a good thing for them to acknowledge that those exist and provide those tools for people who are starting into D&D. As I was a beginner and I started D&D with people who did not use safety tools or did not know how to do that, and it was it took me a little bit more time to get comfortable with role playing because of that.
Chat's asking, what does that mean, though? Can you safety tools for students? Okay, so there's various types that have been curated over the years. Yeah. They include lines and veils, where in session 0 or something like that, your group decides on, all right, these are hard lines. We're not going to talk about these things. These topics are off limits. Veils, where it can still be part of the story,
but it doesn't need to be graphically explicit.
Exactly. Right,
and so like it fades to black when 2 people couple up at the end of the night, or there's a line where we do not show that an animal has been hurt, or stuff like that. Yep. It helps because role playing is such a vulnerable thing, and especially because if you are trying to enjoy role playing, you do want to be genuine, but you also do not want to come back after and be like, wow, that was a lot of emotional damage.
Yeah. So to kind of go off what chat's saying, it's not like PG or PG-13, but basically what you're doing is you're establishing with your group. The use of safety tools is to establish with your group. You may have a group who is comfortable and is willing to be graphically violent or sexually explicit or whatever. The idea of safety tools is not to take those things out of the game, but to determine where those lines are for everybody so that nobody is put into a situation. And I mean, all of us have read horror stories about con games or game store games or even home games where you have one player who doesn't know where the line is.
Right, and they push those boundaries.
And they really push those boundaries. Chat said the next revision will be called D&D Revised 5th Edition Final Mix. Yes, because they're taking notes from the Kingdom Hearts naming school.
365/7.
Oh yeah, 365/2. God, that was such a weird title.
It really was.
So that's what those are. Other things that came about in the next. Okay, we can't call it the next edition.
No.
The revision of
the
D&D.
revision.
Half races are gone. Those are being removed, so there will
did remove those, but they added Goliaths.
They did. The half-elf and half-orc removal from the core book is... it's been controversial, to say the least. Right? Like, pour one out for Tannis Half-Elven.
See, I don't mind the removal, though I do wish that they had also included more planar beings like Azamar.
So we're gonna talk about that in a second.
Okay.
So they got rid of half races. It's very there. I'll just chat here.
No, that's a really good question, and we have answers for you.
Yep. And so, that's the one that I think has caused the most like, what?
Yeah.
Is like, because half-elves have always, even before we got into half-orcs being a playable race in, I think, 4th edition, half-elves have kind of always been there.
Yeah.
And it's
I mean, they've been in fantasy. They're baked into fantasy.
Yeah, and so...
However, I'm wondering, and especially in light of the fact that we're basically looking at D&D and seeing that they are trying to go through and make sure that they are being as careful with their words as possible, you know.
They're being very cagey, and this kind of goes into what chat's asking. So can races not interbreed? I don't know. They're not saying a whole lot right now.
I think they're scared.
They've got 3 or 4 more unearthed arcanas that are coming for playtesting for revised 5th before the end of the year. I'll be honest, I don't know.
See, and that is this is turning into a conversation that basically requires a lot of forethought and knowledge.
We would have to do we would have to do a stream in and of this by itself.
Yes.
Just to tackle some of these contexts
properly.
Yes, and so I don't know about the rest of it. We're going to find out more as we go through the year. But so what I want to stick to today, I think we should stick to is what we do know or what was intentionally not said.
Yes.
There's some information that they're not putting out at this stage. The other book that's getting a revamp as part of this. So apparently, Mordenkainen, Spelljammer, all these will still work with the revised 5th edition, but Tasha's
needs revision.
For whatever reason, is getting revised, and I think it's being mushed with Xanathar's.
Oh,
but
interesting.
I'm not sure what else. As of right now, they're saying everything else is compatible. And there will be a rules glossary to explain that. And that, much like when they switched from 2nd to 3rd, 3rd to 4th, 4th to 5th, there will be a explainer about what tweaks need to be made to existing characters to make them fit the new rule set.
But Alex, tell me about the virtual tabletop.
They've put out some YouTube videos on this, and they talked about this at length at the thingy. Here's what we know. The VTT is supposed to be all-inclusive. They are going to have a third-party marketplace, a la Steam, right? For the VTT. Mm-hmm. They say that homebrew tools will be there.
Okay.
Right? Some of the key questions that were asked by some of the creators that were there that I saw were, what kind of machine do you need to run the VTT? And Wizards did not disclose that at this stage. They did say it will not be browser capable, so you will not be able to run it in like a Chrome browser. Will the marketplace include models? Out of curiosity, they are being very cagey about what it's going to include and the specifics of that. Some people also asked about the licensing agreement that will go with the third-party marketplace, and the short answer is they didn't answer that question. The question was asked about monetization for the VTT, and they did not answer that question.
If only there was already one that let you do it.
You mean like Talespire?
The question was asked about technical specifications required to run the VTT. They were unable to answer that question.
Sounds like they didn't have very many answers.
I think they have the answers. I think they're just not wanting to put them out right now.
Which does lead me to be a little suspicious on they're
doing. It's leading a lot of people to be very suspicious. And at the end of the day, they need to add it to the sub for D&D Beyond. I think that's what's going to happen.
So, Cabo, that is a funny thing because the Q&A wasn't supposed to happen.
Well, no, the Q&A was supposed to. They had scheduled time.
30 minutes.
It just got extended and went a different direction from the VTT. And we're not going to touch on that today.
That was that is an entirely different conversation that I think would be best reserved for maybe Identico After Dark.
Maybe.
Suffice to say, right, WotC had this creator summit. They called all of these creators and influencers here to show them the future of their game and try to get hype around the new things
that are coming.
Unfortunately, I do not think that they were prepared to be asked questions that are more
that
were not in regards to what they were
product
presenting.
questions.
They weren't product questions.
They weren't product questions.
They were trying to do a product summit and show off their new product, and instead were asked different questions instead.
Yes.
And they did not have answers for those either.
And a lot of those questions are very esoteric. They were expecting fluff questions and news and nots. That's probably about what they were expecting.
That's exactly what they were expecting.
That seems to be the general consensus. Is what Wizards wanted this to be was, look at all this cool stuff.
Yes.
You guys go back and tell your communities about
Look at the shinies.
And here's how we want you to be involved with rolling these products out.
Yes.
And it didn't go that way for them. Again, want to kind of sidestep that one for now.
So, with that said,
we just don't know enough about the VTT or the structure of D&D Beyond or the monetization or the technical specifications to make an assessment at this stage.
We have no way of having enough information at this point, no.
Yeah, I mean, and so when people are like, do you think the VTT is going to be good? I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't think that we really got much information that we didn't really already have. A little bit, again, about that this is revised 5th edition. Here's how the books are going to come. They're going to be longer. They're doing a full art refresh, apparently, for all of them.
Interesting.
So it's a full art refresh. They showed off some of the art. The Black Dragon looks really, really cool. They're doing a lot to try and, again, kind of modernize and streamline. You can kind of look at the Unearthed Arcana and see the direction they're going. Again, I'm kind of looking at what they've got here, and I'm going, okay, I think I know what you're doing. But without a little more information, it's hard to...
It's really hard to do much for it.
It's hard to nail it down.
We can't report anything because we don't have any information that they've given that's new. Go use Talespire.
Yeah.
Oh, it says here on the internet that you haven't liked or subscribed or hit the notification bell. And that if you don't, the IRS is going to punch you in the dink.